All right, so I'm here with Ron and Perry. These are the two co-owners of Hi5 Cards in Bloomington, Indiana, home of Indiana University. And it's about an hour drive away from me in Indianapolis. And I just wanted to sit down with these guys today and sort of pick their brain about what all goes into building the shop and sort of why they decided to get into it. And so I guess I'll start with what made you guys decide to take the leap and open a card store?
Well, I'll let Perry start first because we kind of got together after he made that decision. So
right. Well, for me, it was just got back into collecting after kind of the pandemic thing or whatever. Then I ended up with so much stuff in like my man cave, right? And then it had to get moved. So thought about getting a shop and looked for a few places and then kind of come across this. And that's it. Yeah. Met him later and kind of helped speedy the process along. So
I think one of the biggest things in the decision-making process, we talked about a lot though, I mean, the need for one in this area. There hasn't been one for many years, at least a true LCS. So obviously with, you and I have known each other for quite a few years now, and I've been doing this for a long time and actually was part of an LCS back in the day in the 90s before the market kind of changed and then it's come back in quite a different way. But my desire to leave corporate America and do this, and at my spry age, just the timing was right. And when we met, we talked pretty in depth about it, and he was sort of going in this direction. We sort of steered the car in a little bit different direction, but found a great space, and they had a lot of it going on, and I found
growing pains.
Yeah, growing pains.
Course,
I got my best friend is does construction and this, that, and the other, and that's helped a lot get us this fast going. So obviously resources are a big deal.
Yeah, and I mean the first thing I notice when I walk in is how beautiful and clean the store is, because I try to visit some card shops when I'm out of town traveling for my regular job, and it's amazing the amount of that you'll walk into, and it's just kind of a mess, and there's cards all over the place, there's boxes all over the place, and so it's nice to walk into a very welcoming space, and so that's credit to you guys for creating such a space. So Bloomington, you said there's a need here for an LCS, and so do you know the last time there's really been one in this area?
I'm not for sure. I mean, obviously being from just up the road, if there were one that was prominent, I would probably have known, but I mean, there's been a couple people that do other things that also have cards, but but nothing like this in a lot of years. I could tell you back in the 90s there were a couple smaller shops, but in between there, if there was anything, it wasn't very prominent, because I mean, obviously, you know me, I would have been down here at least trying to pick up stuff or something.
A couple smaller shops. There's like a little Magic the Gathering shop, and then there's a guy over in the mall that kind of did some sports stuff, but he couldn't really keep up on it, so he's kind of moved to mostly collectibles. And actually people go in there asking for a place like this, and he directs them here, so shout out to Jonathan for that.
Yeah,
that's a huge help.
And that's great to have that relationship with the local businesses. And I think a lot of people don't realize how big of a sports state that Indiana is. I mean, home of Larry Bird and the pride of Indiana, Jay Cutler, of course.
Of course.
But I think that it's a huge basketball state. Obviously, Colts are massive. So, having, obviously, Indianapolis is sort of the central location, but having another branch out in such a rich college sports town as Bloomington, I think is a great move for you guys. So can you talk a little bit about your business model and sort of like how your sales work? How much do you do online? How much do you do in shop? Do you guys do breaks? Do you do mostly wax? Like how do you fit everything together?
So I would say that we do, most of our in-store sales are probably low-end single cards. We have the wall, which you filmed, and that's got a lot, the player boxes and stuff like that. We sell a ton of sealed product, and then
cheap slabs are a big hit too.
Yeah, cheap slabs that are on and then we're probably doing about 50-50 eBay to in-store sales, and that's kind of we've turned our business model a little bit based on the eBay not wanting to be primary, but it allows us to buy bigger lots and collections and stuff like that, and then move some of that out pretty quickly, and then go at it again.
Yeah. And do you guys do breaks, or do you set up at shows and all that?
So that's how we met, shows,
Okay.
and in Louisville, and then we do that every month, and we pretty much do a show every weekend. Sometimes two.
Yeah.
We're headed to Dallas this weekend,
Perfect.
Perry and I, and then the guys are going to still set up in Indianapolis. So so we're not really doing breaks yet. We have a couple people that like to partner with us. We want to be comfortable with whoever it is, and we'd like to do, find someone halfway local to start with it, live breaks, and then move it to a platform. But we think there's a lot of benefit at least starting live and getting some more recognition for the
So
shop.
many other things on the priority list, though.
Yes, of course.
So we try to throw a few together, and since it's not been our primary focus, it's not really worked out.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with breaks too, is you need so many collective people who want the same thing, and so
Sure.
getting that amount of people at the right time is definitely a challenge. But I think the more you build your brand and everything, all that stuff kind of comes along with it.
Right. That's been my primary focus, or our primary focus, is building the brand.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of work in this. Like, this lounge area has undergone, since Ron had come in, at least 4 different changes.
Yeah.
And I think we finally got it to where we like everything.
We had a futon and a TV,
futon.
and now you see
Yeah, it's beautiful.
see
I
what
love
we
it.
were able
It was a
to.
good-looking futon.
Yeah. That's great.
Always improving the shop.
Yeah.
There's always stuff to be done to make it look how we want it. So
Yeah, and we were talking on the way in, and you guys have these wooden showcases that I think you started out with, and
Right.
you're slowly kind of transitioning to all the glass showcases, and everything looks great. There's certainly nothing wrong with what you have set up, but I think that's a big thing too with what I'm trying to do with this channel, is just like every day you get a little bit better and you get a little bit more present, and you just try to build your brand up a little bit. But talk about building your brand. I love your logo and everything. How did you guys come up with that and the name and whatnot?
That's this gentleman here, Perry, did all that.
So,
Yeah.
went back and forth with the name. I actually almost called it Trading Card Closet.
Okay.
And I'm so glad I didn't go that way. It's harder to market. It's harder to fit on a shirt.
Yeah.
So a guy I'd played music with back probably almost 20 years ago now. That was our thing. If we're playing music, what's a logo? What's something we want that's got to look nice on a
Right.
shirt or on a hat or something? Well, Hi5 was actually one of the names for an album we were going to do
Oh, cool.
that never worked out. So I kind of stole that. I'm like, well, I think that'll work for the card thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, the
that's
great
it,
thing
yeah.
is if it had worked out, we wouldn't be doing this.
Right.
Right.
So there you go.
Exactly.
Sometimes,
That is true.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we get to use the name, and I think it fits this way better than it would have an album.
I hear a Garth
Something.
Brooks song playing in the
Yeah.
background
Definitely
now.
not. Definitely not Garth Brooks.
Well, terrific.
I love Garth Brooks, but definitely not Garth Brooks.
Yeah, and then I guess the only other thing I wanted to ask you is, how do you guys go about acquiring cards? I think one thing that I struggle with is when I'm trying to flip stuff is I sort of go through these phases where, like, I'll build up a bunch of inventory and then I'll sell it all at once, and then I'm like, oh crap, I don't have anything. So do you always feel like you're just constantly buying and constantly turning things over, and where do you source that from?
Yeah, and I would say, first of all, that maybe 50% of our focus is on that. That's got to be close, but we are always trying to come up with new avenues. To be honest with you, I'm down here 4 days a week, and then at shows 1 day a week, and then spending the rest of the time with my family. But he knows this because I'm constantly sending him pictures of stuff I bought on the marketplace or on eBay or through a different channel. And then obviously we're trying to buy large groups of cards at shows. There's some days where we're like, man, nothing's happening today, and it's 7:30 and someone comes in with a large collection and just wants to
Right.
sell it all. Those are good days. The person
Yeah.
walks out of here with some money to spend on something they'd rather spend it on, or what we call reboot. Sometimes people just get in too deep with 5 or 6 different facets and they really want to concentrate on one thing. They'd like to start over. Sometimes we buy out dealers at shows. I mean, we've done all those things in a short amount of time, but there was a time a couple weeks ago where we were a little bit concerned.
We couldn't buy enough.
And we were
Yeah.
selling more than we were buying, which is not really our model right now.
Right.
So
I mean,
we're-
at first glance, you think that's a good thing, but it's not.
Yeah, because you
It
need
was
the
not. We
you need
yeah,
the
we
flow.
Need more. Like,
yeah.
what are we going to do? We keep selling. Now we got nothing to sell.
Yeah, and I think it's important too, like with the shop and with the shows and everything, at least from my experience, is like you need to always have fresh inventory because otherwise people will just stop coming to your table.
Right.
And so, you know, I don't have infinite amount of money to just spend and buy more and more and more. So I need to constantly be turning stuff over. So just always having new stuff is important, and it's hard sometimes because you have to find different avenues.
There's, you know, partnerships, and it's something that I think there's an active one going here, obviously. But you know, there's some people that I have pretty good partnerships with. I mean, Zach Terry, Indie
likewise.
Card Exchange. I would say those are two of the best partners we have right now, where we, you know, have those capabilities. And sometimes they need to do something similar. Although those two have been doing this much longer than we have, we'd like to take a lot of those little things that other people do and incorporate them into our vision. You know, which is ever evolving. And we talk daily about big picture stuff. Like I said, leaving corporate America after 25 years and not really having an income is a big step, but we're just we're gonna make it happen.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for sitting down with me. I'm very excited for you, and congratulations on this. I guess it's first step. It's only been a few months since you've been open.
Yeah, right at three.
Yeah.
Right at
But
3 months.
Still haven't had our grand opening yet.
No,
Yeah.
haven't done any
Let
advertising.
me know when you are,
Yeah.
and I will bring down a bottle of champagne to celebrate.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Ron, you and I have been doing business for you know, a while now, and it was crazy because all of a sudden you showed up and you had this logo and you had everything going. So congratulations to both of you guys, and thanks so much for sharing this with everyone. And look forward to more great things to come from you.
Appreciate that, brother. We
Yeah.
appreciate you coming down to hang out with us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, what is this? Mosaic Hobby? There we go. Eric Dickerson White out of 25. Not a bad one.
Last pack mojo.
kinda feel like
It'd have to be an awful big car.
I know it's got to be like a gold something or a low numbered Lawrence or something like that. Sorry guys. What's up?
What did you think about that box?
Could have been better, I think.